Okay, so let's start. Since I'm looking at the fact that the speaker of today's time zone is kind of different from ours, where she's staying, it's kind of pretty late. So allow me to introduce today's guest speaker / lecturer who is going to take us through the coaching session, who is none other than Bernadette Ojao. I hope I pronounced it right. So Bernadette, I think you can unmute yourself and just introduce yourself to the class and take us through today's session. Hello, Bernadette, are you able to get me? Or can anyone in the class get what I'm saying?
Hello. Hello.
Hey, hello.
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh my God, technology is something else. Forgive me. Women in tech. Anyway, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, so my name is Bernadette Ojao, and I'm calling in from Uganda, of course. I'm the team lead and founder of Wabibi Pads. And Wabibi Pads is a social enterprise tackling menstrual health management through availing menstrual pads that are sustainable. It's okay, so it's nice to be part of this call and to also get the privilege to talk to young people and people who are especially concerned about menstrual health management and the fact that it still is a big challenge. So is everyone in, or where I can start?
No, the majority are in. Some, I think they'll join us because I'm looking at also the time. We don't want to keep you. We can just start since the sessions are actually recorded. Then those that might miss on the start, yeah.
Okay.
And you can actually turn on the video. Would want to see you. I don't know if that's okay with you. Yeah.
It's okay. I'll do that in a bit.
Yeah, and I've made you my co-host, which means you can actually share if you have a PowerPoint presentation. Basically whatever I can do, you can do. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so I want to see where I can share from. Oh, I don't seem to see where I can do that from, but okay. No, you know, technology, so you might need to pardon me a bit while. Are you sure I can share? Okay, now I can.
Yeah, you can.
Thank you. Okay, so just give me a moment. Okay. Can you see my screen? Is anyone seeing? Are you seeing my screen? Hello. You can. Eh? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we can hear
so,
you.
I was trying to ask if you can see my screen. Okay. So
Oh yeah, we can actually see.
Okay.
You can start the slideshow. Can you start the slideshow so that it's easier to walk around? Just on top there, there's like slideshow.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Just a moment. Oh. Wow.
No, actually in the red ribbon, the red part, there is home, insert, design, and then there is slideshow. Just read just a bit below.
Okay, I think you can now see my screen. Can you?
Actually, it has disappeared.
Wow.
You
Okay,
can start sharing again.
let me start sharing again. Okay, share. Can you?
Yes, we can.
Okay, finally. Anyway, okay, so like I was saying, Wabibi Pads is a software enterprise that is tackling menstrual health management um, among people, especially women and girls in marginalized communities. Of course, this is something that is from a basis of an experiment of myself or an experience that I went through. Let me share my video. Oh my God, I'm in a dark place, but I'll try to find some light.
Oh, that's okay,
Kindly
actually.
hold on. I'm trying to get me somewhere where we can be seen. Okay. Okay, I think this is okay. Well, like I was saying, our BB pads is, according to some of our findings as a social enterprise, we've discovered that there are very many challenges, you know, that are happening to especially the girl child, and knowing that we're working with school-going girls, girls in community, and girls from displaced places like refugee camps, there's been a common, you know, common contribution that has been given due to menstrual health management and being a challenge. I'm going to give a bit of my experience as a young person. Growing up was, you know, you grow up, you reach to a point where you know, where you're learning how to menstruate. I mean, for the very first time, you don't have more information on this, and yet you have to be at school. So one of the challenges to me was accessing menstrual pads. First of all, I grew up in a very challenging community that is a slum in Kampala, called Kamocha. And if you were lucky, of course, to get a decent meal, you're not assured of pads every month as a girl, unless if your mother could, you know, could afford to buy you the product. But unfortunately for me, my mom could only afford once, you know, in a while. What do I mean by that? No, it wasn't something that would happen every month. It wasn't an assurance that every month I would have what to use. So I faced lack to menstrual products because, you know, of where I was growing up or where I was coming from. But now, I mean, in today's age and generation, you still find that young people cannot afford menstrual products, probably because their parents can't afford, or maybe their guardians can't afford these products. And these are usually people from marginalized communities, like rural areas, you know, slums, uh, even in uptown. I can't say that it's, you know, it's a limited challenge. It still becomes a very big challenge to everyone because affording this product is a bit, you know, not something that people sit down to calculate and you know, think about. So another challenge for me was unhygienic or poor menstrual products like toilet paper. Growing up, I had a challenge of toilet paper. It was what would save me every month at school. So I remember one time I was in my form 2 and my menstruation started, and I had not prepared myself for this. So when they began, I was like, damn, what have what has just happened to me? What am I going to use? So I ended using things that were next to me. And I remember going into the washrooms, and luckily we had toilet paper that was always available. So I rolled some of it. But toilet paper is not sustainable enough. Every time my blood would come out, that means I would need to change. So I find myself going to the bathroom very many times and becoming a bit uncomfortable. You're like, I hope I'm not staining myself, you know, because of not being able to access proper things at school. And even going to sick bays, you would be assured of maybe a Panadol, which is a painkiller, and a bit of maybe like magnesium for people who have ulcers, etc. But when it came to menstrual products, there were no pads available. So it became a big challenge. You either went back home or stayed and used your toilet paper. And for me, in most cases, I would end up going back home because I felt home. I would be so comfortable, and maybe my mother would make me a few strips of cloth, which would happen actually in most cases. Our mothers in Africa, most of them, of course, have grown up, with the same challenge of like menstruations have to happen. What do I use? I can use a cloth strip in case I can't get me a product that can, that can help at all times, or a product that is available. Yes, we have products like Always in Uganda, but usually, like I said, no one prepares for menstruations except for today's world, where women and girls are being taught on menstrual health management, which is very key to us as well, baby pads also, because we found out very many young people out there have these challenges because of creating focus groups and discussions. And so the gospel or the news of MHM is something that is opening up, a lot of information for people out there to understand the challenges, to understand the solutions, to understand, the gaps that are in there. So thank God, like I was saying, the cloth strips would play something for me, but still they weren't really good enough. They weren't good enough. And at one point, of course, you're going to use a cloth strip, and then the next time you have toilet paper, etc. like that. So this contributed to missing out on very major, school days for me, especially. I don't know why my periods always happened in all the time in a month when we have either a test, especially midterm tests. Of course, we know periods happen every month, but for me, it was so unfortunate that every time I had an exam, my period came. I think maybe because in most cases I would get so scared about what to expect. Like, we know things like anxiety can trigger menstruation. So to me, it kept on doing that. And I guess that's why they kept on coming. So I would miss out so much on school. And my childhood education was really disturbed because of, the fear of just discussing it with your teacher or the senior woman. And, I felt like I can only trust my mother when it comes to menstruations and my period. So that is why I really had challenges missing out in school. So another challenge would also be disposing of. Now, this afternoon, I was talking to a friend of mine, and my colleague Charlotte. So we're trying to ponder about the challenges within us. Charlotte is a young lady who has worked in a bank, and she was giving me her story of how she would keep with a used pad onto herself. Like, she would not remove the pad because of lack of accessibility. Because she could not afford, or rather she didn't know where to go and change the pad from. Now, in a bank where she worked, there was a limitation. You're not supposed to move to certain areas because of, the protocol of the work that you're doing. And so if you're a woman in your periods, you'd either keep your pad until until you can find a place to change from. So imagine you're working for longer hours, like 8 hours. That means you're going to stay with your pad. And this is a disposable pad, which could fill up so easily. So she would stay with her pad the whole day, the whole time until she's let out of the vault. And before she knew it, she would have stained herself. The pad would have really bruised her. And then it would have also, started smelling. So when I was talking to her, I told her I thought I was the only one. Okay, for me, at least what would make me so scared was like, where to throw the pad if I have to change it. So she's and so she's like, well, to me, that was the major challenge where I would stay with my pad. I'm like, oh, wow. So not having a place to dispose of pads is also a very big challenge for MHM, especially for menstruators. It becomes a challenge in cases that you have to remove your changed pad and you don't know where to put it, or maybe you're scared boys would see you or girls would see you. So we find that these are very many challenges that educators or even people like senior women find in schools. Like the young people, they don't have or even are scared to approach them and discuss things like, where can I throw my pad, or where can I, where can I find the changing rooms? Because in most cases, pad periods happen to girls when they don't expect them. So imagine a girl is in your class and you've not talked to her about certain things like periods and when to expect them. So if she starts her periods, she'll be scared to also disclose to you certain things. So instead of asking for help from the person who is in charge, like a senior woman, the girl would withdraw and then stick with her pad, which she has worn maybe from home, because she can easily open up to the parent, but she can't easily open up to a teacher or to the person, the guardian, maybe at school. So this issue of disposing of still becomes a very big challenge, and which we feel should always be addressed by MHM practitioners. Which is mitigated. Also, the women, and mostly this is contributed by set in the market, of course. In Uganda, of course, I want to mention brands where if you wear that pad, the moment it's full, once you're going to remove it, it tears. So the cotton ends up coming. So you can't really rely on it as a product, or at the end of the day, you end up not, using it, and you end up maybe going back to your cloth strips because you feel they were more comfortable. They would last for a longer time. So another challenge also is due to causing. What do I mean by this? Growing up, every time a girl was in her periods, she would find that she would be limited, to moving around the compound because of fear of what might happen if in case she's wearing a pad or a cloth or a toilet paper. So, you would be scared. Maybe I would be jumping around and the pad falls down. Sometimes also the underwear that someone is wearing could also contribute to, to that challenge. And this leads all to poor menstrual hygiene, because at the end of the day, you will end up wanting to use something that you're more comfortable in because you've tried and tested it and you feel it's very, very comfortable, rather than using a product that is going to cause, a challenge. So for us, after coming down and looking at all these challenges, we
sorry,
sat down
Bernadette, can you speak a little bit louder? Apparently, I think I'm not even the only one. We can't get you. Your voice is kind of low.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. And now?
Much better.
Okay. Sorry. I think my microphone has been a bit low. Sorry. Okay. So I was saying that now for us as Wabibi pads, of course, we've understood that there are very many ways of capturing blood, like use of menstrual cups, use of tampons, use of disposable pads, and realizing from our own experiences that most of these products, for instance, if we are to say tampons are not over in a population of like 100 people. I think only 30 people would use them here in Africa, or especially in marginalized communities, because of the fear of, of the shape. And these are really findings from what people would rather use every time we're asking when out in the field. I must mention that I'm a young water fellow under the Young Water Fellowship. So we were given a task to find out what people in communities would rather prefer, and we took it upon ourselves to estimate using the most available products. And we found out that most people, between using a tampon and a pad, would rather pick up a pad. And the misconception, of course, in there was that what if the tampon enters and never comes out, And so we felt like this is still a big challenge also when, of course, to the menstrual health sector, because there is a lot of sensitization that needs to be done according to what products. So when the report of people rather being comfortable with a pad, we decided that now we can make pads, but we could choose to make a disposable pad, we could choose to make a reusable pad. So weighing down on the challenges that we had realized that, when you're using a disposable pad, you might get accessibility, but it's not permanent because of the fact that it is, single use. And us wanting to create a product that is really sustainable, that can keep the user at school, we decided that doing something like this would really bring out the whole challenge, answer. Or so we call this our resolution. Our resolution is the cloth pad. It's our BB pad. And this pad is designed to endure at least some of the challenges by 99.9, like Data Soap here, because one of the inaccessibility of the other products gives our pad availability for at least 2 years, being that it's cloth and it's reusable. So the accessibility, I mean, also does not allow the school going girls to miss out, because this is a part that a girl can always have with her at all times. Can someone mute? Okay, so like I was saying that we made sure that we designed a pad that could give accessibility, being that it's a cloth pad. A girl can always, or a woman can always, find it with her. She can always move with it, because it's, you wash after using it, you wash, you keep it, you store it into your bag or into a pouch somewhere where you can find it again for the next period, which helps, beat that challenge of not being able to access. And also with the accessibility, we know that because this pad is there, a girl won't miss school. A woman won't miss out on her important days in life, This pad is also one comfort, because most products tend to make maybe some products like the disposable pads. I'm not trying to decampaign, but I'm only trying to say from facts and reality that the disposable pad, once it's full, it would cause, of course, too much of period shame when it comes to it leaking through the skirt or the uniform. So with this period shame comes mental health, you know, mental health issues. Recently, we were carrying out a training on menstrual health management in women in sports, and one of the girls said that the first time she had okay, not really the first time, when she was in her period, her pad got full without her really realizing. So in it getting full, it stained through her clothes. So all along, she kept on moving, thinking that maybe everything else is okay. So in the middle of nowhere, someone taps her, turns like, you know what, your cloth is stained. She said she felt like she wanted the ground to open, swallow her up. The next day, she didn't want to go back to school because she was scared everyone had known. And, some people started laughing. Of course, news and school moves so fast, and because of not having much access to information on menstrual health, someone might just take it as a joke and then start laughing at your weakness. So this caused so much, you know, shame to the lady, and she really wanted to say, change schools as well. Uh, so another aspect that we looked at our product when we were producing it, of course, our baby pad, which we feel is a solution to the challenges that we're having above here. We looked at the sustainability. Now we know that climate change is not just something that anyone can overlook today. There's tons and tons of plastic out there that are damaging our oceans, that are filling up our landfills. And one of it is the pads, the tampons, even the menstrual cups. That is also something that, that is happening out there in our water bodies, and we feel like we need to all take action for, because it's our responsibility. And so our baby pad, feel that the time that it would take for a user to use the pad, the other person who is using maybe a disposable pad would. Hello? Compared to the time the other user who is using a disposable would have consumed. So you find that if you has baby pads, compared to how many the other person who is using the disposable is having, then the sustainability plan would be on our BB pad, because I mean they're reusable and they're with you, whereas the other end user over the disposables is just going to keep throwing away, and in throwing away, piling the landfills, and in piling the landfills, causing so much, you know, climate change due to plastics. Of course, we understand that it would take almost 800 years for a disposable pad to biodegrade. So, I mean, 800 years of not being climate conscious, would we really settle for that? I think that is where we say, no, we cannot be contributing to the damage of our environment, but rather we'll try to create a solution that can help. And also, you know, not only does it help the end user, but it's also helping to save our environment. So how our pad is made, of course, we believe so much in organic, I might say. By organic, we wouldn't want to have things like chemicals, and for us, we use totally locally available materials in the market. Of course, we are all familiar with okay, some of you, I don't know, for those that have kids, or for those that have siblings at home, maybe young brothers and sisters, you've noticed that mothers have a specific kind of material that they're asked for in hospitals when giving or delivering a child. And that material, always, there is always one that seems like a blanket, and then there is one that is a sheet. So that sheet is always called flannel cotton, and the other one that looks like a blanket is called fleece. And these are all materials that can be used in making reusable sanitary pads. The beauty is these are materials that you can see and know that are chemical free, unlike the disposable pads that have some gel in them, which causes sensation onto the woman's underbody, and hence leading to things like bruises, itching, etc. That all cause poor menstrual hygiene management. And so we also put in absorbers like cotton toweling, normal products that can be easily accessed in the market. And we put in PUL. PUL is a leak proof, because period shame. So we use materials that help, you know, the pad is really designed with something that can help the end user not feel the impact of menstruations. And then we finish the end with cotton tetra. Like you're seeing, we are trying to use cotton. Why cotton? Because cotton is very, very manageable. It is very comfortable, and it is the best, you know, absorbing blood, especially during menstruations. And of course, we give it a good finish of snap buttons that are supposed to hold it onto the you know, the panty. Here is how the cloth anatomy would look like. Unfortunately, it is some of the letters might appear very small, but we've tried to use an example from Christie's. And like you're seeing, there is a top layer, which is a fabric that's held that is held against the body. Yeah? It's the part that faces the body. From ours, it is this white part here. That is the topper of our pad. And this topper is usually cotton flannel, minky, organic bamboo, velcro, etc. So still you see flannel has appeared, and it is what we use here with ours. This top layer is flannel cotton. And like I explained earlier on, that flannel cotton is very, very, very manageable. It is very comfortable and it absorbs very well. So you're not, you're not scared of whether the blood will have to shift or move down to the other side, or ending up wetting you. Of course, we should also be cautious of the materials of pads that are out there, because if at all you can access reusable pads in Zambia, then it's good to also check out the materials that are used in making, especially the top area, or the top of the pad. So we have an inside one, which is supposed to be the core, or the absorber. This is the layer which is made of either flannel cotton, absorbent fleece. So which means if you can afford fleece, or if you can access it, that means you can also use it as a core. But for us, we decided that no, we can use cotton towels, of course, because we want to work with something that is really available locally, such that even if someone is to make this pad, they are really going to find some of these things in the market. Availability is key, especially to products used in menstrual health management, such that we are able to capture the issue of MHM, especially with materials used to capture the blood. So we have what we would call the backing, and this backing is backed up with PUL rather. Sorry, not the backing. The third layer would be PUL. Sorry about that, which is a waterproofing layer. Of course, it might not be present in all pads, but it might be hidden in between the backing and the core, or exposed, but it should be inside, because once the blood is passing through the first topper, it will get to the core, which is the cotton toweling. Then here, now once it's here, you're not scared of it going through, because this PUL is supposed to be leak proof. It's not supposed to let out any blood. And like the same to our pad, it has the core, the PUL as our third layer. And then we give it a good finishing with the backing. Of course, for the backing, you could use other materials, but usually it should be something at least either fleece or cotton or anything. But then I would say cotton would be much better still. However, according to what you might be having present in your country, or what you can find in the local markets, then you can use that. So we also give our pad a finishing with a button. If you're seeing this white button here at the wings, these buttons are supposed to lock in and fit onto the panty. And usually we use snap machine to access snap machines. You can also go the local way. You can decide to use materials like buttons that are used in making shirts and other things, etc. You can even use Velcro if it's available in your country. Yeah. Then we always need to care for the pad. Most cases, there is a very big challenge. One of the challenge that we meet out there when we are training young people or women or men, whoever, about how to use and care for our pads before they even purchase them. There is a big challenge on how to wash, but we'll get to that after learning how to wear the pad. Now, assuming you have made yourself a reusable pad, you have to put it onto your panty like this. So you're seeing, so you insert the pad inside the panty, of course, with the underwear, I mean, facing with, of course, with the pad facing upward onto the panty. Okay, now for instance, you have your panty, you just lay it onto the pad. The same way you wear your always pad, really. It's not rocket science, it's something be done. Of course, you fold the wings of the pad downwards such that the snap buttons can meet, and then you press the buttons onto the wing. Now at Wabibi, we have wet bags in our packs every time, because for us we commercialized it a bit such that we are able to to sustain ourselves and also create employment for women, as that is one of our mission. Yeah, because we realize that one of the challenges while girls are still missing schools is because, of course, their parents can't afford. So what happens if parents can't afford? We need to teach them how to make the product and also sell it such that they always have money to not only afford for their daughters' pads, but also to pay their fees, etc. Yeah. So we make sure that in our park there is a use and care manual, which is like this, and then on this manual we teach them how to use the pads, then how to keep the used pad. Now if you're seeing this pouch, this is what should be a wet bag. Now what is a wet bag? You may ask. A wet bag is a bag that a woman or girl can put in a used pad, and this used pad can become a challenge. Like I said earlier on, that my colleague faced challenges as well on where to dispose of her pad. So because she didn't know where to dispose of the pad, she would end up wearing it and until she can find a place where she could put it. So we realized that it's also a challenge, and then we made sure that we improvise wet bags in our pack of pads such that if a girl is at school, or if she's at work, or a woman is at work, maybe a teacher is at school and she's in a period and she would like to maybe change after the other, she always has a place to keep the used pad, which is very, very important in the MHM aspect or toolkit, because I mean it is incomplete if there is no panty, if there is no pad, or if there is no space for storing a used pad. It would be very incomplete for the MHM, especially menstrual health management circle. So another way of how to really care for this pad, we say, is that you have to wash it. By washing, and this has been a very big challenge, especially for people who use menstrual pads that are washable. Now, usually, most cases, young people or the end users don't have information when they buy these products, so maybe they don't even look at the instructions on the product, so to know how to use and care for the product that they're purchasing. Likewise, even when you're delivering these sessions in school, it is important to teach young people how to use and care for certain products, be it disposables, be it tampons, be it menstrual cups. It is always important that young people get to know how to use and care for these products. And for us, like you see our baby pad as the instruction of how to wash as well. We say that for our pad, it's because it's cloth, because it's a cloth pad, you have to soak. By soak, what do they mean? First of all, you fill your basin with plain water, plain cold water, not boiled, because when blood and hot water meet, it might react and turn into something else. So before you know it, the pad might just become stained forever, because removing blood that is already boiled on a pad is very, very difficult. Indeed, I've realized that blood is thicker than water. The other day I was in my period. Of course, this is an MHM session, and I soaked my pad for like 30 minutes while I was showering. So I wanted to understand and study and really understand what is this science about on soaking this pad, and then how the blood runs out. So I gave it time. Now the blood ran out of the pad and settled. When it settled, I'm going to see the water had come up and the blood had gone down. And indeed, blood is thicker than water. That is what I found out. So in this case, also, it is important that the pad is let to settle such that the blood can run out. So when the blood has run out, you squeeze it out a bit. Then in a different basin or the same, after pouring out, add in your soap and start washing thoroughly, you know, such that when you rinse it out, you can see the water is clear. Now, it's very relevant for water and soap to be part of the MHM kit. Why? Because even if it's not just washing the pad, the person needs to change, you know, and after changing, one needs to wash themselves. That is why infrastructure like toilets, changing rooms, and water availability is very important to the MHM, you know. And honestly, if there is no water in a place where girls are changing, then it's a very big burden, because what will they use, you know, becomes, that's where you find flies are following girls. uh Period shame is all happening around, because everyone has now seen that you've stained yourself. Oh my god, I can't imagine, because I can relate to a bit of this. But thankfully our government in Uganda is trying so much to see that water is not a challenge, through, of course, tackling issues of MHM, especially in ministries of like water and environment that are doing a great job to seeing that MHM is included in the ecosystem, and also how it can be, you know, tackled or well thought of by the government. So let's say at the end of the time of the day, you're now going to your step 3, which would be out to store the pad, and you know you've finished your periods, you're done like with your cycle, and now you need to keep the pad. Now for us, we have a draw bag that we also made sure that is part of our kit. Why? Because these pads need to be kept. They are reusable. They need to be kept and used the next time. So if the person who is using them does not have a bag where to store the clean pads, or it might not where to store the clean pads, it might become a burden again, because you know we don't want to move around exposing to everyone that, hey, I'm in my periods, you can see I even have pads, you know. Not everyone is so open enough, so we say, okay, it's better that, you know, there is something to use, like a storage bag that can help, you know, that can help, yeah, for the next cycle, such that when you come back, you know exactly where to find your pads. Even at work or even at school, a girl can always carry her pads kept aside for the next time. So we always advise that if a young person is going back or is always in school or at work, they should always carry at least 2 pads, such that they are ready for their circle. Now, the 4th one is what I'm going to emphasize on: how to dispose of the pad. It might not be just our baby pad, but then other products, all other products. of course, this issue of littering products in the toilet is still a very big challenge. For us here, National Water and Sewerage Corporation spends millions of money every year. They lose a lot of money due to unblocking, unclogging. Landlords are suffering with tenants that just throw things in the toilets without, concern of what might transfer at the end of the day. So the quality of our water is affected by menstrual products. So imagine if you're going to remove your pad, instead of, storing it or keeping it away in a decent manner, you decide that no one is seeing me, I'm in the toilet alone, so let me dispose it off in the toilet. My God, you might think you're in the toilet alone, but tomorrow when you come back to the toilet, maybe you're in school and it's blocked, it will be a shame on you because you remember that you're the one who threw the pad into the toilet. So we advise very much that, after using your pad, of course, with our pad lasts for 2 years. So at the end of 2 years, you can even decide to use your pad up to 5 years. By the way, it depends on your hygiene. If you know that you're not able to have it up to 2 years, it's still okay as well. So rolling the used pad in a cloth, I mean, on a paper, in a piece of paper would be very important, such that you can litter it into the dustbin, and then the dustbin person will also come. Or if it's a school, the schools always have incinerators. If it's at home, there's always, I know, garbage companies that collect these products and then take them off to incinerators where they are maybe burned and all that, or maybe taken to the next phase. But you see, as much as we are trying, at least we're trying to use our product not to be something that is always going to be littered because of the time that it would take. So we create a sustainable product that can, last for some period of time, such that our landfills don't suffer, or our climate doesn't get distorted because of emissions and etc. So lastly, of course, time is fast spent. Why switch to reusable pads? I know now, like I've been talking and saying all that our pads are eco-friendly, and I've been emphasizing so much on climate change. And I feel like it should be upon each and every one of us that, we should have at least a pack of reusable pads, not just because maybe we don't want to use them or because of periods, but because we are mindful of our environment, we are mindful of our climate, we are mindful so much of what would happen if you stopped using your disposable pads and actually use your reusable product. Reusable products not only just help on climate, but I mean, even the nature of our soils. I mean, because we really don't know what happens even in landfills, what next, what small particles are moving into the oceans, what small particles are moving into the landfills, when science takes its place in the night, when God is doing things that we don't really understand, or what happens. So it's better to at least switch to an eco-friendly product, because you're trying to be mindful of your environment and be mindful of the water situation, the water system, or the water you know So another aspect will also be, of course, they're healthy. They are health beneficial because they do not bruise you, as causing you to, go and again buy other ailments to maybe apply on your bruises that have been caused by, let's say, the disposable pads. due to the chemicals that they have. And then lastly, they're cost effective. If you calculate the amount of money that you spend, again, buying disposable products compared to the amount that you would spend using a reusable product, you'll find that you've been cheating yourself. And I know you wouldn't be happy, but like we say, everyone has a preference, and you cannot force someone to use a product that they feel they're not comfortable with. But all in all, we are trying to avail solutions to the challenges that we talked about. Of course, like accessing products, make sure that we produce products that are accessible, like then use of unhygienic products. We make sure that we produce products that are hygienic. Missing school, make sure that we have a product that is going to always keep the girl at school. Then dispose of, making sure that we have a product that is comfortable enough, and also incorporating in things like bags or pouches that could help, especially when it comes to the disposing of, or wherever the end user might be, or it might be school or work, etc. Then also, mitigate the challenge of bruising and staining, because by using, eco-friendly materials, like I mentioned, the cotton, the flannel, etc. Then also to give women confidence and dignity. Of course, when you're wearing the baby pad, you will be 100% confident that it won't leak. It won't, you can fly around, like a gazelle, jumping up and down. You can run, enjoy, do a sport, because the pad is really very comfortable and very, very decent, actually. Then, of course, also putting in the aspect of infrastructure, changing spaces and all that. I will emphasize, of course, this is where we're always calling for the government, or for the persons that are concerned to stand in the gap, to see that, the facilities that are put in place for young people, such that they're able to enjoy the menstruations without worry of what or where to change from. Otherwise, if we have any questions, now is the time I can take them. Thank
All right,
you.
no, thank you very much, Miss Benedict. It has been really an amazing session. I've learned a lot. I feel like right now I need to find a company in Zambia that sells reusable sanitary pads, so that I can actually get some for myself.
Exactly. You would be doing a great job.
No, actually, I have someone. We have a company in Zambia that actually makes them, which is Westmart, or which I believe as the coaching progresses will bring them on board, and they'll be able to actually share. But it has been really an amazing thing. For those that would want to ask questions before I interact with Miss Benedict, since this is a coaching session, I'm also allowed to ask questions. Feel free to unmute yourself before I engage in our one-on-one conversation that will also enable our participants to also learn in detail. So if you have any questions, just feel free. You can unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and ask.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Hi,
can.
my name is Hannah. Thank you so much for today. It was really informative. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Hannah. Thank you for joining in.
And my question is, because I also I'm into like reusable sanitary pads, but I haven't really gone for outreaches and whatever. So because you're in that field, so if you're donating pads, how many do you think you could give to each girl at a school? Like, what is the minimum or most efficient number? Is it two, three, one? What would you think is the best number?
Well, I think the most minimum number would be 2, and the best number would be 4 and above. Because when you give her 2 pads, at least you're allowing a time to always have something to change to, even if the other product is full. But if you give her 1, she'll be limited, so that one will get full, then she'll go back to using toilet paper or any other thing that she can access. So 2 to 4 is really relatively okay, because at the end of the day, a girl needs at least 4 pads to complete the day, and always have something to report to the next day. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Hannah.
So for those that
Hi.
have still questions, oh, perfect.
Sorry, hi. Thank you
Hi,
so much for this great information that you've given us. I'm Celestine, I'm from Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya.
Oh,
And
Celeste.
yeah, I'm so glad to join. I was really looking forward for this. And thank you so much for this information. I have a question. I don't know if you mentioned it earlier. For how long should someone use it? Like the period of 4 months or 1 year for you to now change to another new reusable pad?
Now, for us, how we've designed the BB pad, we've designed it to be used for 2 years. And 2 years is something at least that is relatively okay. Also, it totally depends on how hygienic the other user is, because you see, most cases, people who have reusable pads tend to find them as a burden because of the washing. But hey, if you know period poverty, you would love on that pad and treat it as how you would treat a new underwear. You would wash it thoroughly, knowing that you're keeping it the device between 1 to 2 years. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. Sorry, I have
You're
another
welcome.
question to ask.
Yes, yeah.
I've been having challenge. I have a project that I donate pads to girls in the village, and their stories are very painful. But now this time, they want reusable pad, but again, lack of water. So even if I give them, with the training or the teaching of the lessons you've given us, yeah, I might give them the information and everything, but again, at the end of it, accessing water has been challenged to them, yet they find it useful. So I don't know what you think or what advice you can give me, because I was thinking I used to give them 2 pads, 2 reusable pads, but now with hygiene, being that they don't have water, how can someone go about it?
Well, we have community leaders, and it is only a human right for every woman and girl to access water when they're in their menstrual periods. This is where we go and call advocacy meetings. Go out to your community leaders that are representing you. Tell them the challenge. Map out the communities that you're giving these products to. Find out what is their challenge. If it's water, who is responsible for water? How can they get help for that community? Also, there are very many international NGOs that would like to avail water, that I'm sure one can, go to and find more information from. International NGOs like Water for People. These are NGOs that can, if one pitched to them the challenge of water, of water in that area, especially to menstrual health management, something can happen. You can find, maybe you've been funded to to dig a borehole for that community, which is something that would be very, very, very impactful. But I think this also goes back to you, the giver, and you, the one who can identify whether it means going to your local leaders or going direct to the office of the prime minister or someone who is in charge of women, gender. I think it is only a human right for everyone to access and have water. And I'm sure no one would really try to kill you for, trying to solve an issue of water. So I feel like the involvement of the government in MHM is very, very important and profound, such that we are able to mitigate things like, no water or unavailability. Yeah. I don't know if I've answered you well, but I would send you there.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate your answers. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Celeste. Thank you for joining in. Doreen is asking, how long can a person wear reusable pads in a day? For instance, we say those who have the heavy flow, because you can find that others wear maybe more than 4 to 6 hours. And what advice can you give to them? Well, what I can say now, we all have different types of flows. Like mine is really low, is not low, but it's normal flow. And so if I'm wearing my pad, I can wear it for 8 hours and even more without me feeling any bruise, any leak, or any rash or etc. So like I mentioned earlier on, that the materials that we use in making our pad make it very, very, make it very easy for me to feel comfortable, for the other person to also feel comfortable, and adjusting on the time. So before I even actually started real commercializing the pad, I tested a pad. I did something very crazy, as you cannot sell a product to someone that you're not sure of. So it's always good to try to test it yourself before you can actually take it out on the market. I remember I used a pad. It's crazy, it's nasty, but it's true. I used a pad. I wore a pad in the morning, stayed in it the whole day, slept in it the whole night. What was I trying to find out? I was trying to find out, what if a girl only had one pad? Would this pad help her? Indeed it would, but of course, what would happen the next day if you wash that one pad and it doesn't, you might not have another thing. So that's why I said earlier on that 2 pads are better. But coming back to the question, at least depending on what pad you're wearing, because I don't know the other producers in Zambia and what materials they would be using, but also it totally depends on the material you're using and how you've constructed this pad. So for instance, if your pad is like ours, then you can use it for up to those longer hours, actually up to the next day. But please don't try this at home. It depends on your flow also. So if your flow is really heavy, you can use this pad for up to 6 hours or even more, because it's totally comfortable. I wish any one of you would try it and test it. You would feel what I'm talking about. And okay, so really, I hope I've answered you. And what advice can you give to them? Well, to those that are maybe wearing the pads for 4 to 6 hours, if their flow is really heavy and it's totally heavy and you feel like the pad is full, please change it. Okay? Change it and wear another one. Don't keep wearing it. It might stain you, or it might, bruise you, because when a pad is also too full, it becomes blood now starts joining and connecting with your body, which when it touches the cloth, it will cause a bit of friction. So the friction is what will cause the bruising, if it is chemical free, etc. Yeah. I hope I've answered you, Doreen. You're welcome, dear. So Mildred is asking, I'm not interested in making the reusable pads. Is there any easy to follow? Oh, okay. I think you mean you're interested in making the reusable pad. Is there any easy to follow, any tutorial to follow? Yes, I will be sharing with Judith a link on how you can make reusable pads. But also there is still access to information, and you can still find out most of these things like online, like I did for myself. By the way, how I started this journey, I think this will be for another day. I'll leave you wanting to have me back such that we can interact, begin, such that we can interactively keep on talking about, these reusable pads, and never know, maybe one day. Yes, maybe one day
we'll be
we'll.
having you back.
Thank you.
So to finish the story that you have started with. In fact, the next time we'll be like, begin from where you ended.
That is it. I want to begin from where I ended next time. So yeah, Mildred, you can find some information, but I also share something with Judith. We are coming up with a tutorial that will, of course, put in a little bit of a small price, which will be towards that will be catering for pads for women in marginalized communities as our giveaway. So for any shilling that you would put to it, you would be supporting someone down here in Uganda with a pack of pads. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Hi,
looking forward to that.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, dear.
My name is Yvonne. I'm calling from Toronto. Hi,
Oh.
B.
Hi, Yvonne. Oh my God, Yvonne, you guys, I'm about to say this. Someone is provoking me. Okay, Yvonne, you can ask your question.
So my question, it's not so easy. It's not so easy for us to hand wash stuff here in Toronto. So usually we use like washing machines. I'm just wondering, is it safe? How can I use these pads with a washing machine and a dryer?
Yes. Thank you. That is a very important question. Now, for those that have washing machines, of course, we would say that if you have something like a bucket, first and foremost, that at least you can try to drain out the blood itself, and then you can finally put your pad into the washing machine and wash it normally with other clothes. It would actually be very cleaner when you mix it up with other clothes. And in terms of drying it, yes, you can dry it with a dryer. Of course, as long as you don't take the temperature so high that it might maybe burn up the whole pad. But also, if you have a way of accessing sunshine, then you can always hang it out where you're able, but still the dryer can do the magic as well. Thank you, Yvonne. First of all, guys, Yvonne, no, I'm going to want you to also always be part of these engagements. But Yvonne I'm so happy she joined in. I know her personally, and she's one of the reasons why our baby pads is. She left me something and that thing never changed. My life changed forever because of what she left me with. And time to time, I'm always in contact with her. And Judith, I need you to call me back next time for a motivational speech.
No, this is a 3 months training. In fact, we can have you and Yvonne. So I'm like, now I'm coaching Yvonne right now. We can have Yvonne and you to actually engage in a live chat.
Yes.
Whichever one it is, I believe this is not the end of us engaging with you. Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
one last question before I ask you my questions. I think you can take that one.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Miss Benedict. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Gracie.
Thank you so much. This is Grace from Zambia. Yes, I think mine came just immediately after Yvonne shared her question. I don't know, maybe you shared it earlier as you were presenting, but I would like to know when it comes to like when you wash the reusable sanitary pads, how long do they take to dry? Like just in a normal day light setup, like how long do they take to dry?
Now, under her normal daylight setup, they would take up to 6 hours to dry up because you know, like how we hang our clothes out and we just let them stay there. But of course, depending on what area you are, like for instance, we have people who buy from us from South Sudan. They say it takes at least 3 hours from South Sudan before the pad is dry. But now under the normal, it can take up to 5 to 6, yeah, because at the end of the day you want the pad to be totally dry, you know, such that you're sure that it has disinfected. Of course, we also know that the sun is a natural disinfectant, and we always advise that the pads are hung out. Of course, when it comes to issues of privacy, maybe not wanting people to see it, you can always cover it up with a cloth, something maybe like a scarf, but something light enough to let, you know, to let the pad dry up easily. Yeah. I hope I've answered you, Grace.
Yes, you have. So,
Oh.
based on the experiences that maybe each and every one of us has, when it comes to maybe when you're trying to dry up something, when it doesn't dry up fully, it has that awful scent, like it has that awful smell on it. Yes. So, with regards to the pads, how is it? Has there been any reports of such experiences? Because there is a blood aspect that's attached to it. And then when it comes to washing, I joined in a bit late, so maybe you might have shared this. I had some network issues, but how do you wash them? Do you use a certain paste? Is it paste? Is it powder? Like what's recommended when it comes to cleaning them, so to say?
Thank you very much. That's a very important question. Like I said, I mentioned earlier on that my period were happening 3 days ago, and I took the initiative to understand why people are finding a challenge on washing this pad. Of course, we always ask our end users, do you find any challenge? And most of them report washing being a challenge. And being because the material is cotton. So this is where the whole hygiene aspect comes in. I mean, how do you test your hygiene if you cannot wash your pad very well? Of course, very many users maybe just don't really take this serious. Someone wants to rush out of the bathroom. Oh my goodness, you're supposed to really give yourself a pampering when you're in your period. Take bathe some warm water, wash your pad, and if you're washing it, wash it with love. First of all, I always tell people that attach some love to your pad when you're washing it. Say some words to it like, hey, you're supposed to be clean because I'm using you again the next month. So if you wash it until you real, but even if you're to smell on it, you feel it is clean, you know. So it is also good to smell your pad, smell it. If it's still smelling blood, my sister, it's not clean yet. But if it starts smelling soap, know that it's, you know, you've done something. Oh, it's actually, you're supposed to rinse out the soap totally because of the sensation again. And what soaps we would advise, of course, normal soap, but not perfumed, like maybe soap that you could use like geisha or luxury soap for washing your body. But this should be soap that you use for washing clothes, you know, like real crude soap. And we could also advise a bit of detergent like normal, I mean, Omo or Sunrise or whichever detergent you have, but making sure that you rinse it out very well. And so water is something that you really need here, water and soap. And for that part to be totally clean, you really need to have enough water. And in my testing, the pad would take at least 2 liters of water to be very clean. Of course, if you're giving it that real serious pampering, but most cases people want to jump out of the bathroom. Someone has just washed, you just don't care. The next time blame the pad, that the pad made me, fall sick. And in most scenarios where people use public toilets, you might end up catching a candida, and before you know it, you can transfer it to the pad if you're not using it very well. So that is why give yourself a pampering when you're in your periods. The bathroom, try to not rush out, wash it very well. But of course, it takes sensitization. You need to teach people how to do this. And for us, we've tried and we're still trying to emphasize so much education on how to use and care for the pad, and learn, of course, after being given much cautioning on it. Yeah. I hope I've answered you.
Yes, you have. Thank you so much. It's the pampering
You're
aspect that has
welcome,
just been
Grace.
shared, because I feel like, okay, we really need to do most of that, because I, for one, don't get to be that intimate when I'm on my period with
Yeah.
myself. Like, okay, it's just one of those things. And I feel like we need to work on that generally. It starts from us. Hopefully, everybody's listening and will take it more personal. Thank you so much, Miss Benedict. I hand over back to Miss Judith. Thank you.
You're welcome, dear. You're welcome.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. Okay, this session is like now I'm no longer even allowed to ask questions in this session. Okay, what I really loved is the fact that you brought out your story and you talked of how growing up in a Muslim community. But now I wanted to ask, how has it been now? Looking at the way you were raised and looking at the current situation and with your initiative, how has that situation kind of improved in your community via your initiative and even through the outreaches that you have been doing, aside from the sanitary pads that you make? She actually trains other women on how to make sanitary pads. If Uganda was next door to Zambia, would all move there and learn.
He just bought me a plane and I come and I train the whole country. Anyway, yeah, so for me, how it has been, of course, right now, personally, on my case, oh my goodness, period poverty, bye forever, because I have a solution to this, and it's been helping for the last 3 years for myself. Actually, for the last 4 years, I've used my pads for the last 4 years, and for the last 4 years, I've not used any other product apart from the Wabibi pad. Why? It is the most comfortable pad I've found. Okay, so for other communities, of course, in places where I grew up, like Kamocha, women are buying the product. They really, really are using it already. And according to what they've told us, is that it is what they needed. Of course, we are happy because, we can relate with such communities. Then NGOs, of course, that are buying from us are also taking to their people. And we're happy to, at least by now, have been able to impact the lives of over at least 2,000 people, but we've distributed over 50,000 pads right now in how many pieces we've made. And we usually, of course, don't know how NGOs distribute when they are taking. So usually they can take a pack which has 4 pads, but then we don't know whether they're giving to one person 2 pads or one whole pack. But from us, we are happy that our communities are impacted. Girls are actually going back to school because reusable pads is something that Uganda is embracing, especially as a sustainable product that can be used by young people in school. And even though we've not yet covered the biggest population in schools, but at least international organizations like UNICEF, are trying to, Peace Winds Japan are trying to give to the most affected communities, especially marginalized, or those that can't afford at all. So our work has impacted really so much. And in trainings, we've been able to train over 2,000 women as well. And we are happy because, we know that people know how to make for themselves and using what they have at home. So we know that those lives cannot stay there and feel like period poverty is a problem, because someone will use needles, hand needles, things that are locally available to sew her own pad, even if she doesn't have a machine. And yeah, and to us, that is really very big impact.
Wow, 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 wow. No, that's really amazing. 2,000 women know how to make their sanitary pads. And then I'm sure with that 2,000 women, there are others who have gone to train more people. So it might be double or triple the number that you are actually looking at, because there have others that have gone to empower other people, which is so amazing and beautiful. So another question I would want to ask is, I loved when you were highlighting to the fact that sometimes children or girls walk around with sanitary pads because there are no places for them to go and change their sanitary pads. So how would you highlight the importance of water and toilet, and having toilets or access to showers? How can that help promote menstrual health hygiene management in a school setup, in a community? And how do we go about ensuring that actually schools have those things in place so as to ensure that girls and women have safe and protected menstrual periods where they feel safe, they have access to all those things? Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier on, that my colleague was telling me that the challenge she had, of course, was accessibility on where she would dump. So we always emphasize that, we call out for infrastructure to be in place. And we try to talk about it being a challenge when it comes to menstrual health management. We try to let people understand that it's very important that, especially schools, even in communities back home, in places of worship, that the infrastructure that caters for menstruations is in place. And of course, there is still a challenge for some areas, especially in rural areas where young people have to go to bushes. But it would be better that if a school is planning on opening up, that they have certain issues in place, because when a school has a changing room, a girl can confidently walk into that room with a pad and then wash herself and come back to class and study with confidence without worrying about what is happening under a skirt, because she would, if there was no changing room, a girl would not be confident enough to stand. Those are the girls that you find seated the whole day in one position, and when you tell her, and she's always the last person to leave class because she does not want to be seen that she has maybe stained a skirt or or a uniform. And I feel this is still a big challenge, of course, in places where information is also not given. And that is why it's also important to speak out about some of the gaps, even to up to the local government, and to whomever it is it concerns. And then it is also very important for water and soap to be in schools, because without water and soap, it is very hard for a girl to wash. So at the end of the day, that all wash will be put down to nothing. And yet wash is very important when it comes to menstrual health. Otherwise, the hygiene, the whole missing out of school, in school, that dropping out. And by the way, recently I was moving in a bus, and I met a gentleman who told me that in the one area of where I personally come from in Karamoja, that girls were reporting that the reason why they were getting pregnant at early age because they didn't want to menstruate. Can you imagine? And when I heard that, I was like, my God. So you can't, I mean, this young girl would rather get pregnant than menstruate. Of course, you know, when you're pregnant, there's no menstruations. And for some people, after giving birth, still menstruations come only when you've removed the baby from the breast. So a person will try to buy time because of menstruation, which I feel this is not good. And if things like water or sanitary products and infrastructure are not in place, then we are still going to have these challenges going on.
Listening to you talk about a young girl who was told that if she was to be pregnant, then shouldn't be menstruating. This is not actually the first time. I've actually even heard it in university. Like, if you've experienced period cramps, the only way to get rid of them is if you can have a baby. Then it means once you have a child, those period cramps usually go, but which is not the truth. There are some, even after they give birth, they still experience period cramps. But even above all, why would you want to end up bringing a child who is a whole big responsibility just because of a simple petty reason? Something that can be dealt with, something that you just experience 4 to 3 days or even 1 week and it's gone. Now bring in somebody that you will look after for literally for the rest of your life. You'll be taking care of them and providing for them. Now, because you want to get rid of menstruation, you don't want to be receiving your period. You decide to get pregnant.
And something as natural as menstruations is, by the way, it still has a very big impact on the life of girls growing up. That is why we need to take a step as educators to see that we pass on information that will help change how young people think or what they think about menstruations. So my time is fast spent.
No, that's very true. That's very true. No, thank you very much. I think for now, I'm going to allow you to give us what are your last parting words for menstrual health hygiene educators that are in this room. What are some of the words you're going to leave us, as you're going to leave us with as we close the session?
Yes. First and foremost, what I would say is that identify problems, identify solutions to those problems, and kindly let's go sustainable, because with sustainability we'll be able to cater at least for some time. By that, let's try to make products that are going to be available at all times. For instance, like how us we came up with our baby pad, because we know that at least for 2 years, and we are able to cover up the issue of periods at least for 2 years for one person at a go, where they don't have to buy again for 2 years up to the next time. But if they have the resources, they can always continuously buy. Then also, let's try to really pass on the right information to young people. Let's try to let them understand about menstruations at an early age, such that no girl is deceived. No girl is impregnated by another man because of basic needs, when we can pass on rightful information. Secondly, let's also, be a sister's keeper. Let's try to help those that we can help, even if it's sharing information with them. Like, if you've learned how to make a pad, teach someone else how to make this pad, such that they can also teach someone else. You would have created much impact out there. And lastly, please, let's put our trust in God, because in everything that man plans, it is only God who fulfills. And for me and my country, we love you, Zambia, and we wish you well. We speak peace into your country. Yes, and may the love of Christ reign in Jesus' name. Amen. Good night.
Amen. And thank you so very much. I feel like I need to start saving up. It's either I go to Uganda or Bernadette comes to Uganda at this point.
Let's do both.
Yes,
Come,
so
then we
it's either
go.
we choose. Yes, definitely. So thank you very much. And I'm so grateful
You're
that you
welcome.
actually, the moment I texted you on Facebook, you took up the challenge to actually come and speak. And we at CDF have learned so very much from you. And I'll actually share the link to your Facebook page for the organization so that they can actually get to know more about the work that you are doing. And even for the next outreaches, they might find something that they might want to implement in their outreaches program, because she's amazing. She's doing amazing work. I am like an anniversary follower. I'm a top fan of her page.
Thank you, my top fan.
Yes.
Thank you, my top fan. Thank you so much.
And this is someone I would definitely recommend you get in touch with her on Facebook, on LinkedIn, whichever platform that she's on.
Yes.
And I'll ask her to share the links to all our platforms so that you can get to interact with her and also learn from her. This is someone I am vouching for. We all should get to interact with.
I know. Thank you. So you can follow us on our Facebook. We are Wabibi Pads, or you can type in Pads for Her. Pads for Her is a campaign, of course, of us trying to teach people how to make their own pads, but it's still our name. So wherever you type Wabibi Pads or Pads for Her, you'll find us. We're there on Instagram. We're there on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. Then you can find us also on LinkedIn. And of course, if you want to follow me, you can always type Benedette Ojao. Yeah. So the hashtag is Wabibi Pads. Wherever you find it, wherever social you're in, you'll always be directed to our page. Then you can look through and see what we've done. Thank you, Mildred. So from me,
right, so I'm gonna close today's session because me and Bernadette, we can talk the whole day.
Yes.
I don't want to keep people here.
We are sisters.
Yes, we can talk the whole day.
For sure.
So I'll also get the links for your, I think I only have for Pad for Her, but for the other links, you can just inbox me so that I can also share with the ladies that are in the
problem.
groups.
I'll do that.
Yes. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night.